welcome everybody who's new to our session today. This is Let's Talk Conversations, which you normally have every Thursday. And it's all about bringing the community together for us to share in ways we can develop ourselves and develop our communities and make it better. Of course, we're going to be discussing things that affect us and our community. So everybody's opinion is valid in this call. We do have James, who've just had talk, who's a CBT therapist. So if anything triggers you or makes you uncomfortable, please feel free to message him directly on the chat or message me as well. And hopefully can have a good discussion as we continue and everybody respect each other's opinions. So last week, I think when we were talking about celebrating ourselves, James made a point that we should actually look at this topic of today, which is my life. And we thought, how about building resilience, as we talked about, over the last few weeks. So on this picture, you've got my life and building resilience. Let's talk. So you can see two people sitting. We all appreciate the fact that we've had COVID and we're able to meet online, which makes it easier for people to communicate. So what is resilience? So it's the ability to recover not readily from illness, depression, adversity, or anything that has made you, change your course of daily activities. So in the pictures there, it just depicts how, you can see the person struggling to keep up the pulse or the domino effect, to keep the domino pulls up. And you can see some of them have already fallen or about to fall, but he's really struggling to push them up. Again, you have a cracked and a dried piece of wood, but in there you can see a nice twig growing despite the conditions. So just some of the examples of what resilience would be, and that does not encapsulate everything that resilience is all about. Again, we're going to talk about life. So I just came across some quotes, and I think today, as we discuss, is may you live all the days of your life. So we're going to have a discussion about how you're living your life. Who do you think you are? Do you strongly agree about how you spend your time and what you think about yourselves? There's also a caption over there that says, somebody, do not carry your mistakes around with you. Instead, place them down under your feet and use them as stepping stones to rise above. Again, different things. So I think this I borrowed from the celebration we had on our annual conference, which was choose to remain strong. And note to self, you can't control how other people perceive your, I'll start again. You can't control how other people receive your energy. Anything you do or say gets filtered through the lens of whatever they're going through at that moment, which is not about you. So just keep doing your thing with as much integrity and love as possible. When you allow yourself to get mad at people, you're giving them importance. When you choose to be calm, walk away, you give you such importance to yourself. And I think we actually talked about the power of one. Again, you can see the resilience picture coming out of there in the most unlikely of positions, in the most dried up trunk, but there's still life in there. So one of the things we went to is the power of one. But one tree can give life to a forest, one smile can start a friendship, one hand can lift up a soul, one idea can shape the future, one candle can wipe out darkness, one laugh can conquer gloom, one touch can show that you care, one life can make a difference. Be that one today. So I'm just gonna stop sharing a bit and bring us back. So that's just a small introduction. I think there were some questions which I'm going to put on the slide. I'm going to ask Ravina, do you have the questions from last week at all? If not, I can type them in. I can see some people are coming in, and I can see Nyasha also saying she's having a bit of trouble trying to log in. So let's see whether that comes.
No, I got the questions for today, not for from last week's.
Yeah, the ones for today. Yes.
Yeah,
Are you able to type them in the chat for me?
yes, I can.
Thank you. I will just give the few people a bit of so normally would have polls, but today unfortunately we're not able to set up the polls. We're having a bit of configuration issues today. But we'll go through the questions today with the guide of James, our CBT therapist today. But we do have all the questions. So we're gonna just play a clip in the meantime, just to talk about resilience before we come through to talk about the questions that we have. So the questions, think about the questions. These are questions we're going to be answering, which Ravina is going to put on the chat for us. First question is, I like who I am. Second question, I think the world is a good place. The third question, I have positive effects on people and others. Oh, my life is too busy and I have time for myself. Number 5, I have a sense of meaning and purpose in my life. So I can see Ravina's posted some of them. I think the world is a good place.
Get out
And others.
in Jesus' name.
And I have, okay, my life is too busy. I have a sense of meaning and purpose in life. Thank you for that. So we're just gonna come back to that. I'm just gonna play a short clip as I try and get the other people to join. All right.
Today, we're going to talk about a word. The word is resilience. Resilience is a word that most of us have heard, but some don't understand. Resilience is like a tree in the wind. When the wind blows, it bends and then adapts by coming back to center. With people, it's an adapting to a traumatic experience, a coming to terms with the experience. When we're young, we have shocking experiences, like being startled by a neighbor's barking dog. A scary movie that gives us nightmares. Or maybe that overwhelming first day of school. These are scary things that can cause us much fear. Most of us learn to adapt or come to terms with them. So we all learn resilience at a young age. Everyone is resilient to some degree. And as we experience more serious things, we can have a harder time adjusting. A traumatic experience like abuse, violence, or even something like rape. Experiences like these can stop you in your tracks. You can't adapt like you did with less severe traumas. These are life experiences that shock you to your core, and you become caught up in them and can't shake them. You simply can't adapt or easily come to terms with them. When we experience trauma like that, there are many people that can help. When we are young, our parents, brothers and sisters, friends, and teachers. But when we experience major trauma, we might need help from a counselor or even a doctor. Doctors that help people with adapting to life after a traumatic experience are called psychologists. But those aren't the only ones that can help. A whole community can provide help, especially if your community is a trauma-informed community. So when you hear the word resilience, you can think about adapting or getting back to center. And learning to adapt to traumatic experiences over time can help you become even more resilient. Here are a few strategies to help you cope with trauma and help you get back the ability to recover. 1. Establish an attachment to a caring adult. 2. Learn the ability to calm oneself. 3. Gain a sense of belonging. We have 42 strategies to help you build resilience. Find out more about these 42 strategies by visiting trumpsaces.org.
Okay. Thank you for that. I hope everybody was able to have a look at that. So just explains more about a little bit more about the word resilience there. So we're going to come back to our questions today, and I think we're going to use the chat facility to go through the questions. And I think then I would ask everybody to either chat in this, put your answers in the chat to say whether you agree, strongly agree, slightly agree, or not sure. So first question we're going to go through is I like who I am. So the answers, I'll just give the choices, would be strongly agree, slightly agree. I'm just typing this so you, strongly disagree, and slightly disagree. Oh, if I can type. I can see Nash has been able to join and not sure. So those will be the choices for all of the questions. So if we can all use it. So we're doing the first question. So welcome everybody who's joining today. Apologies, we've not been able to set up the polls today. We had some technical issues with that today. So we're going to use the chat facility. And the first question we're answering is, I like who I am. So the choices would be strongly agree, slightly agree, strongly disagree, slightly disagree, and not sure. And it's up to you whether you want to answer. It just, you know, if you want to keep anonymous, that's fine as well. Yes, but I think we can have some chats, some options in the chat, please, if you'd like to answer, and then we come through to discuss our first question. As we normally do, is just go through the questions. So I like who I am. That's the question we're looking at. And if you don't mind, I'd like somebody to say why they said either strongly agree, slightly agree, strongly disagree, not sure. Who would like to start us off?
I can go first.
Yes, Mary.
Yes, I would strongly agree. And my reason, there is nobody like me in this world. I'm unique, you know. So yes, I agree. I like myself.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Mary.
Thank you.
Clearly showing in the way, you know, you're also laughing and be happy about it. It's fantastic.
Yes, you have to. You have to love yourself. Nobody will if you don't love yourself first. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
That's okay.
Lorraine, I can see your hand up.
I agree with Mary because, you know, we live in a very aggressive world. And, you know, many people, they are overt in their ways and some are covert. And, you know, there's a saying, what's the saying now? Is the the fittest of the strongest of the fit or whatever. You've heard that term. We're not competing for anything, but we have to love ourselves. There's a world which we have to function in. And if we slightly agree about how we feel about ourselves, it's just neither here nor there. So we have to be positive. So I say strongly agree. We have just one self and we have one life and we have to go through life with power. Yeah, we slip and we make mistakes, but we have to pick ourselves up and go forward again. That's what I believe.
Thank you for that, Lorraine. Yes, we have to be positive,
Yes.
be powerful. We have to pick ourselves up and live the life that we have. I like that. Yeah. I think that's one of the things yeah, thank you for that, Lorraine. I think I said slightly agree because I think sometimes it's one of those things you know, you have some bad traits and you're working towards making it better. So I like myself, but there's some work to be done, you know, just a little bit of it. So my answer was slightly agree, but I like that sense. We said, even if you have, yeah, maybe not strive for perfection, because perfection is, it's an illusion in a sense, but keep forgiving yourself and just like yourself 100% no matter what. Always believe
Yeah.
in yourself. Yeah.
And there's always room for growth.
Mm,
Yeah. Mhm.
absolutely. Thank you for that, Lorraine. Grace,
you.
welcome. We're just answering the question, I like who I am, and we have the choices in there is either strongly agree, slightly agree, strongly disagree, slightly disagree, and not sure. Anybody else who wants to say why they answered what they answered? Okay. That is fine. I think we can go to the next. I can see Grace. Were you about? Grace,
Sorry, I missed. I had to, I had a visitor. I had to see her off. So, sorry, I missed the earlier part.
no problem, Grace. I'll just recapping for you. I'll just saying we're
Yeah.
just going through the questions which we've typed in the chat.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the first question is, I like who I am. That's what we've just gone through.
Right.
And people have shared their experiences about, what they think. Do they strongly agree, slightly agree,
Yeah.
strongly disagree, slightly disagree, or not sure? So we've done that part. So we're in question 2. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to answer this. So I think the world is a good place. That is question 2. And what we're doing is we're putting the answers in the chat box. So
Right. Okay.
I'm going to copy and paste this again. And if everybody wants to answer, the answers are still the same. So
Okay.
the choices are still the same. So I'll give you each just a few seconds to answer that.
Right.
And
Okay.
I've posted that on the chat.
Okay. Okay. Before we go ahead, I
Yes.
like your headgear. You look so regal.
Thank you very much, Grace.
I love it. Do it every day. Beautiful.
Thank you. I was shown how to tie it by my late grandmother. Thank you very much.
It's beautiful. You look so regal.
Thank you.
Queen Eva, Queen Eva.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Chloe, welcome. I see you've just joined. We're going through some questions in the chat today. And the topic is we're talking about myself and building resilience. So we're in question 2, which I've typed in the chat. And the question is, I think the world is a good place. And you've got the choices, strongly agree, slightly agree, strongly disagree, slightly disagree, not sure. And we're using, if you could all please just put your answers in the question, in the chat box for me, and I will go through that. Thank you. Okay, thank you for the answers. So we've got slightly, okay, so the answers are, I think the world is a good place. I strongly agree. Slightly disagree, slightly agree, slightly disagree, slightly disagree, strongly agree, slightly agree. So very different opinions on there. And yeah, who would like to start us off and what their thoughts are of whether they think the world is a good place? Mary.
I can go first again.
Yes, please.
I strongly agree.
Mm-hmm.
The world is beautiful. It's just us that mess this world. We got everything. We got a land to grow our food. We got everything, but we just messed it up. But it's still, with this mess, I still find the world is really a good place to live in. It's just you have to make it for yourself. That is really nice. And also for others, like the environment that we live in, things that we should put in the right place. We throw things in the rivers and we have pollution and all this. If we can cut all this down, we will live healthy, we'll enjoy this life on this earth that we are given. And we don't have enough time. You can say, okay, I will live in this world for 100 years. 100 years is not a long time because you're going to end up on the other side for the rest of your life. So if we can make this world a better place for ourselves, it will be nice. But I would still say it's a good place to live in the world. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mary.
Mm.
Yeah, thank you. Lorraine, see you want to come in?
Again, as Mary said, I strongly agree because the world is still a beautiful place. We go out into nature and we see beauty wherever we travel. I mean, I could have been of a different mentality today. I could have said I'm not going on platform because such and such happened over the weekend. I had a new lock fitted on Thursday to my door. And I felt really safe for a couple of days, but I went to church on Saturday, came back and my lock was broken. And to be honest, I was very, very annoyed. But you know, I think the good Lord calmed me and I got back to my normal self. But yeah, I could have used that and said to myself, this world is a horrible place, the neighbors and da da da. But no, I see them as people, and as people, we all function on different wavelengths. So, as I've said earlier, you know, time, there is room for growth. And as we grow, as we develop in this world, I feel that we go out and about and we enjoy your family, we enjoy each other's company on this platform and share and encourage. And, you know, regardless of what happened, we just live. We know that there's a lot of crime. Crime is right on my doorstep, but that isn't going to stop me from living, believing that this is a beautiful world, because I'm going from the perspective of creation, that the God who creates this world, he will maintain it and he will keep us all. So yeah, I do feel that it's a good world. It's still good, intact. Man corrupts it, but we are not following in the footsteps of you know what man has spoiled. We just pass by and live, live and be happy and healthy and think good thoughts and just live. Basically, that's my sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lorraine. Yeah, I think, as you said, when you came back, your lock was broken. That would have put you in a really bad mood and made you think, you know, the world is a bad place. But I like your positivity in that thinking, you know, I'm not going to think that way. I'm going to think differently. And you can clearly see your belief has a huge impact on how you see things. So yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, I can see also some people say slightly disagree, strongly agree. Who else would like to answer that question? Oh, yes, Ravina.
I put slightly disagree.
Okay.
Only reason being because, okay, the world is a good place, but at the same time, you've got to look at the stuff that's around you, such as like murder, knife crime, suicide. So is the world in a good place, or is it not? So that's why I put slightly disagree, and especially for our generation. Like our generation is growing up into this world full of what I just said, so murder, suicide, everything else, mental health issues. That's why I put slightly disagree.
Yeah. I can see your point, definitely. When you look around, it's what do you see, you know? And that could shape your opinion of the world, definitely. And you say with the young people, what do they see? You know, they haven't had maybe the experiences, some of the, you know, older people to create a positive attitude. Yeah, and what you see around you can easily shape what you think. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you for that, Ravina. Grace, I saw you're about to come in on that one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the world is a good place. Yeah, but we have spoiled it. We human beings, we fall all those bad things we do. As Mary said, it's a good place. Look around and look at flowers and all these things. Fruits, you know, in my house, we got different types of fruits. My friend who just left couldn't admire in my house enough. So, you know, there's nature there to admire. There's a lot, but we have spoiled it. You know, the crime, as the last speaker said, all the bad things we've been doing, you know, and it's been like that from day one, from creation. You know, God created this beautiful world and, you know, man spoiled it. So it's a good place. So we have to take the rough with the smooth, they say, enjoy the good parts and don't be too negative, you know, and pray for those who are going through rough times and all. It could be like, I mean, me and you, if we were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Otherwise, you know, the world is a good place. Let's go forward and be positive and say it's a good place. Let's make it better. And not be so negative about it. Yeah, it's a good place. It's true, there are crime and all those things, but scammers and they scam, you know, only so people, you know, elderly people, they rob them of all their savings and all that. It's bad, but what can we do? Do our bit to improve wherever we are. That's my bit.
Thank you for that, Grace. I think one of the things you said, take the rough and the smooth.
Yeah.
It's not always gonna be good, but take it.
Yeah.
Take the rough and the smooth.
Yes.
What you do about it. So yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I can see James' hands up, but James, can I bring Chloe in first and Kasia and then you?
Yes, go ahead, Chloe or Kasia.
Yes. So Chloe.
Hi. Yeah, I think I agree that like I don't think it can be so binary, so black and white, like it's either good or it's either bad. I think it really depends on your perspective, which could be influenced by your mental health at the time. I think you can go through ways of perceiving the world so beautifully and appreciating things for what they are. And then when you feel low and when things feel really difficult, you might perceive the world as entirely different. And I think, yeah, it really depends on your mental health at the time and like how easy it is to perceive things good or bad. And I think it must fluctuate so often and not everybody will feel the same at the same time. So I don't know if you could mark the world as good or bad, like end of. I think it fluctuates depending on how you feel.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Chloe. Yes, I concur with you in the sense that, you know, how you perceive things is as you are. I think that's a very important thing, and it's not just black and white. So yes, thank you. It's not as straightforward as how you're feeling that day. So, you know, how you're feeling tomorrow. So yes, so many things have an effect to how we see the world, you know. Thank you for that. Kasia.
This might come in it's a weird follow-up, but this is my, like, I guess, negative perspective of what's happening in the world at the moment. So I put down slightly disagree because of what I'm witnessing in well, I'm not personally witnessing, but seeing in the media and the news, and what makes me feel quite hopeless about what's to come in my future, because I'm only 23, and hopefully I've got years to come. But looking at the state of the world at the moment and how countries are governed and what kind of societal systems we're in and the political situations, and it just as a young person, it just makes me feel very hopeless about how my future will look, and if I want to have children, what their future, like, it's even making me question, should I have children, because do I want to bring like new humans into this world that isn't getting better to live in anyway. Obviously, I'm also the kind of person that I see the beauty in the world around me, and I try to live as presently as possible. And I see myself as having quite a spiritual mindset, but nevertheless, yeah, I've got this other kind of bigger outlook on the world, and this perspective that, yeah, it's not an easy one to think of.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kasha. Definitely, you've got to look around. You can see it, and it does bring you questions about, what's your next move, what's your future going to be. Of course, you have to be realistic as well. Sometimes I would call it, and so the questions are valid, totally. James.
Yes, I think just to really buttress what has already been said, I think there's a little bit of a difference between us, the adults, and our young people on the call today in terms of their experiences with the world, and politics and the environment today seem to really cause them this kind of dichotomy around, is it a good place to live or is it a bad place? Like what Kasha was saying, will I bring another human being if I'm struggling already with what is being available to me and it's not being given to me in full? And I think also we also look at what's been happening with young people. Only this morning they were talking about the focus of young people on Instagram for information, whether the information they get from Instagram is positive or not, but they seem to be weaning themselves off the national, regular or routine source of information because they don't see anything that is really of useful to them or positive or will bring any happiness in their lives. So it's also important for us as adults to be giving them opportunities such as what we are doing today. I really want to refer to a story between a priest and a young man. It was just after church, and the young man went to the priest and said, "Father, or pastor, with all the prayer, the good sermon, the word of God you preach every Sunday, there are still disaster, fighting, wars, hunger, and everything." And I think that really did corner the priest, but I think he smartly thought and said, "But what about with all the abundant soap around? We have cleaning items. There are still people who perhaps don't find time to access this thing, and also talk about the abundance of food. But yes, still there are places like in Africa where famine is still quite severe or hunger is still severe. So what is happening there? I think for us, really, the bottom line is how much are we able to reach out, even within this very difficult constraint? How many people do we reach out to? Do we check in with? Are you okay? Is there anything all right? Even with, you're not going to perhaps provide anything, but that question you ask may really add the beauty of this world, because we human beings need to make it beautiful. And I think Grace said that we human beings have caused the problem, and we can, mend it out. The Greek will say, you repeat this, you mend it this. So we have to create, but the beauty of the world should not be lost. Let's really focus on it. And I think Mary opened up by saying there's beauty in this world. And we can see, with all the difficulties, our community recently lost a member and we buried him last Tuesday. But the beauty of his life and the life we have lived is still sustaining us. Otherwise we'll still be wallowing in our sorrows. But I think there are a lot of opportunities. And I think this really is activating all of us in terms of our thinking. And I really want to thank everybody for the engagement with the topic.
Thank you for that, James. Yes, beauty, as everybody has been talking about, but again, also saying that Kasha's point and the young people's point is also valid, but what we focus on. Nyasha and then Lorraine, please.
I was going to say the world is not, so how we feel can have an effect on our perception, but I think that it's side by side, like both things are happening at one time. When there's good, there's still bad happening, regardless of what we think, what we feel, and how we perceive things to be. But then I wonder, how much of one can we have without the other? As sad as the bad things are, like there must have been a point somewhere where no one was happy with just good things, and this is where bad has come into it, so to speak. So I don't know, like it's like somebody got bored one day and didn't know how to manage it, and then so they just went and done something that they perhaps shouldn't have done, and that's just where it's come from. And I think I read an article once that was saying about people like with mental health, like psychopaths, like obviously nobody likes them because of what they do, but it was said that in some situations, I don't know, I can't remember the whole thing properly now, but in a certain situation, like if you're in a group or something, it would be the psychopath who would be willing to take the riskier moves in order for everybody else to be able to survive. So sometimes what we perceive as bad is not necessarily bad. They're just doing those things out of context. I don't know, it's really contradictory, I think. Yeah.
No, but I think what you just said is that it's not bad, it's just out of context. You have to look at things either side of the coin, isn't it?
Yeah, because like murder is obviously, yeah, bad. You shouldn't do it, full stop. But also, if in that moment you're in a matter of life or death and you're in flight or fight and what you've done is an immediate response to the situation, obviously, yeah, you can look back and feel bad because it's out of your character. It's not something you would have done usually, yeah. But actually, if it was required, do you know what I mean? It's yeah, I think it's really hard, but I think really overall, like when I think about the government as well, and I think, well, they make so many bad decisions. Who ultimately put somebody in charge in the very beginning for there to be this line of people constantly in control? And as much as we criticize them, they can only lead from what they know. So yeah,
you are making sense. You are making sense.
So I'm processing what I'm saying because I'm saying it and hearing it at the same time, thinking, oh yeah. So yeah,
I just think it's when you flip the coin and look at the other side of it, it's just, as Chloe rightfully said, sometimes it's not so black and white. It's a bit of, it's somewhere in between. It's just how you deduce the conclusion in the end. How do you look at it? Have you looked at both sides and have you analyzed the situation, So yeah.
I think the perfect example actually reminds me of this girl, the story in America. The girl was like being abused.
Sorry, I'm having feedback from somewhere and I don't know where it's coming from. I think we're good now.
Okay. Yeah, so she was raped for years and then she murdered her rapist and then she got sent to prison and then they had to argue her case because like at the end of the day, would she have murdered him if he wasn't doing that to her? Can you really say that murder is worse than rape? Like there's so many, for everything, there's so many contributing factors, and like because like they're both wrong, but one wouldn't happen without the other. Should she be punished for technically trying to save herself? Because even though now that man's gone, regardless of whether he was going to be dead or not, she has to live with the nightmares for the rest of her life. There's no getting away from that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think sometimes good people can do what are considered to be bad things, but I think those things are only bad things if they're done out of context.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you for that, Nyasha.
Yeah.
I'm just conscious that Nina needs to go. Sorry, Nina, I hadn't seen your message, but please do give, are you okay to give us your updates before you leave us?
Oh, sorry, I
Do
didn't
you
want
want me
to
to
kind of,
share?
but I didn't want to kind because it's such a good conversation on the topic. So I didn't want to kind of butt in. So I'm happy to send them to you, Eva, and then you can, because I don't want to break the flow.
Okay, no worries, Nina. Thank you very much. Share them to me and
Lovely
then
to
I'll,
see, yeah,
lovely to see you, and then I'll share it out to the group.
thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Nina. Bye-bye.
Bye, Nina.
Yeah, back to Nyasha, sorry. Yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
no, that's fine. No. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, as you said, it's in normal circumstances, some things would not happen, but some things happen that, you know, it's a chain reaction to lead into something else. Whether you can say it was good, or it's how do you measure two evils? Like, okay, no, two bad things. Let me not call them
Yeah.
evil. How do you measure two bad things? You can't quantify one is better than the other one in a sense. So yeah, and I think that again, when you look at all those sides of the coin, then it makes people create a perception about life, what they think life is, what they think is life good or bad. Again, back to the individual. I did see Lorraine hand and then Chloe. Thank you, Nyasha.
I'll be brief. This is just a spin off what Cassia said regarding the world and looking at the state of it, how things are, and deciding to rear a family. I mean, years ago, my daughter said the same thing basically. One of the things I said to her is that the world, the authority, the government, they have a say in family life regarding children if one is abusing or something. But at the end of the day, it's us that rear our children. Yeah, it's us that rear our children, and regardless of what the community is like, at the end of the day, if we start early, Cassia, we'll have no problem. I mean, I had two. I had to rear them on my own. It was not a choice I made, but I just stuff it out with them and they came good. They came good. But plan. If you decide it's you who are rearing your children, don't miss out on that side of life. I mean, my daughter decided she wasn't gonna have children. And I think it's because of the fact that she works with children and she's seen what abuse can do to a family. So, and she's still she's stuck to the decision she made. I don't know if she'll regret it as she gets older, but I hope not. So just just make your own decisions. Don't look at the world. I know it's tough because you got the media, you've got your friends coming over and all the drugs and whatever that seem to be governing the world. But at the end of the day, I believe if we start early with our children, we will be able to manage. I think so. I mean, and I'm thankful to say that of my two, none of them had been in any problem with the law. And I think having a good family background as well, because if my son or my daughter decide to step out of line, I just send them to their uncle and then he'll deal with it from there. But I just wish you the best. Yeah, just wish you the best, but don't limit your life. Don't limit your life. That's what I want to say, really. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Lorraine. Kasha is saying thank you. Chloe, I did see your hand up a couple of times. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention about how I think it's good just to treat it like day by day and not to rule things as like one be all or end all situation. So yeah, it was mainly like how things are very like coincidental and situational. So one day things might be really bad and one day things might be really good. But it was kind of what I was saying earlier anyway.
Yeah, thank you. The maybe the idea of you don't have to see the whole staircase as well, just fast step. Yeah.
Yeah, or like the same with people, not to rule them out as either good or bad because they've made bad decisions or because they've made good decisions. I think that because the world is ever changing and the situations are always changing, you can't rule things as permanent or forever because things are always changing. And it's good to believe that society can change and that the world can change, because if you believe that it can change, you're making room for it and you're making room for forgiveness. And I think that's all society needs, rather than just like ruling people out as bad and never forgiving.
Yeah, I like that. I just said not judging people, seeing them. It's not a permanent situation. Society can change and people can change, and believing the world can be a better place. I think I've had that a couple of people have said today about positivity and thinking of the best and hoping for the best. Thank you for that, Chloe. Nyasha.
Sorry, I wasn't on the unmute button. So I was just, what Lorraine said is really true. And you know, I have children, I have 4 of them, and it is a beautiful thing that no amount of words could really describe. But I also understand Casey's point of view, because it's not just about how you raise them, it's more about the external factors that you can't have any control over. Like, there are so many things, obviously I've accepted that I can't do anything, but there are so many things that I would have done differently, done at different times, you know. And even though I've done a lot of healing work and I've become better for my children and tried, I still haven't been able to change the external emotional factors that have impacted them, from other people, the surroundings, the choices of the government. And also, like, you know, I think it was like 2 years ago, I had a difficult operation and stuff like that. So now I think, right, okay, so now I've raised these beautiful children, but then there's still a part of them that if we go the order we want it to go, if I pass before them, that's still another difficulty that we're leaving them with. And I think when we have children, there's so many things that we don't think about or that we're not aware of. And so it must be difficult now to make that choice when you have such a broad mind and you're completely aware of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Can never have all the answers, but as I said in the beginning, I think the experience is beautiful, you know, despite all the things. And you learn, and there's some things you can't change have happened, but you hope and believe in the future it's going to be better. As Chloe was saying about the healing, and people can change and people can improve and society can change. That's all sometimes you can do, because you can't control the external factors and things that have happened before. Yeah. Yes. Great discussion. Great discussion. I think, Kasia, you've had a lot on that one. But I think we'll go to question 3, and I think I'll pass this over to Kasia to take us through this one.
Yeah, just find it. So question number 3 is, I have positive effects on people and others. So if you could answer in the chat box again with the same selection of responses, that'd be great.
I can come on that one if it's okay.
Yeah, go for it. We're still waiting for some responses, but if you'd like to start the conversation, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, let's people put the responses first. Thank you. what I'm gonna say is a difficult one, because yes, I can say maybe, yes, maybe help someone and I feel that I've done the right thing, but the person may not think the same. So yeah, you can do your best, you can do everything, especially for the family members. But at the end of the day, some of them backfired, you know? So you're thinking that, yeah, you're positive, you're doing the best for the community or for all this. Again, it's not a right thing for them. So you have to make sure it's the right thing. And then again, I cannot say that, yes, I am, because they have to say it, whether it's I'm really positive, you know, doing things for them and all that, you know. So I don't say that I've done that to you and I'm really need praises or all this, or you like it, because you may not like it. Because I have a friend that she normally cook nice food, but believe me, I don't like the food. But she said, I like the food, it's nice. I say, you like it, I don't, you know. So there is differences here, and there are big things really that is to do with matter of life and death as well. So, and sometimes when you do something and you may save somebody's life, I really don't like to take the credit, you know. I'm just happy to be there on that time. Could be somebody else helping that person. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So it sounds like what you're saying is it's the only thing you can really control are your intentions towards a person. You can't really control the effect it has on that person, but you can try your best to make the best impact on the best and most positive impact. And if whether that works or not, that's another question. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Mary. Would anyone else like to add to so it looks like we've got strongly agree, 5 responses for strongly agree, we've got a slightly disagree and a slightly agree. So mostly there's some agreement across everyone here. Would anyone like to add anything?
Christian, can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes, of course, Grace. So the question is, I have positive effects on people and others.
Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
Sorry if I feel boastful. I do, because, you know, people seem to like my company and they follow up, you know, they just say, don't say hello and disappear.
Yeah.
Today, a friend that came, I met her on the cruise, and she's not the only one who has followed me. I said, look, what have I got? And all you ladies are after me. I must have some attraction, I don't know.
That's a good sign. That sounds like a really good sign. If people are like seeking to be in your presence, that must mean that you have some positive impact on them, right?
I must have, otherwise nobody will come near. I must have some magic somewhere.
That's so interesting that you mention that kind of impact we have on people as well, because it doesn't even have to be anything that we do consciously. It's something that something about us, like a presence around us, our confidence, or the way we speak to people. It's like the non-verbal things have an impact. And can have a positive impact. So even if you don't feel like talking maybe or something, even just like if you share a smile with someone, or if you sit in silence with someone, but they know that you're really happy to be with them or something, that could have a good impact on people as well. That's a really good point, Grace. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Nyasha, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I think I have a positive impact on people in many different ways, sometimes without myself realizing. sometimes without them realizing.
Mm.
And through something, yeah, as small as a smile to anything as big as having the conversation or writing my books. But one thing I did learn about my life, because obviously like it's all trauma based from all family members, so a lot of my experiences come from outside people and people that I've met along the way. You know, sometimes like there was a couple of instances where I've had someone just stop me in the street and just have a small chat with me for me it's for no apparent reason, but obviously there's a reason in it for them. And then, you know, I learn that. So I think what's helped to make me whole is little bits of people that I've taken along the way.
Yeah.
So I always feel like, because, you know, you can't always help your friends, you can't always help your family. And sometimes if you're always the go-to person, it can become like a heavy, not a burden, but it can become a lot to carry.
Yeah.
So I now find that now that I'm able to help myself more and I don't put so many others before me, it's actually more rewarding, I think, to just give a little bit of myself here and there and just sprinkle my bits of positivity to the world throughout the day as I go on. Yeah. And I think, yeah, those bits I think are the best bits because they make the most difference as well, I think.
Mm. I really agree with you on that one. I love doing that myself, or when it happens to me as well, that really brightens my day. And like I think, but with that there's like this sense of togetherness, like you're not just walking, I don't know if you ever have this realization, like if you're on a bus or like somewhere public and you're surrounded by all these people and then you realize that like, oh my gosh, we're like all in each other's like space, but we're not talking, we don't know each other. And we all live our separate lives and there's this detachment from everyone. But like every now and then when you get to say hello or like have a little chat for like a minute about, I don't know, in the grocery store or something about getting or something funny that happens to you, and like I think that creates some kind of togetherness and this like feeling of community.
I've got a couple of examples I can give of that. So like before I could drive, in the mornings when we used to catch the bus to school, if I hadn't like done their reading books with the children, like they would read on the bus on the way to school. Or like my youngest one, he's had such a crazy imagination. He used to tell like random stories. If he wasn't reading it, he would just tell random stories, and you'd hear like the odd chuckle from someone who could overhear, like. And then like, now, like if they see me on the road when they're on the bus, they wave because they remember the smile, obviously, that he brought to them in the mornings. And another quick one yesterday. Was it yesterday? I can't remember what day it was, but I popped to Asda quickly, just flung on some clothes and wrapped my head up quick to go and grab a few bits. And this man, I was leaving, this man said to me, he goes, "I'm sorry to speak to you." And I was thinking, what? He goes, "Oh, but are you on the TV by any chance?" And I was like, "No." He goes, "Oh, you really look familiar, like you're someone you're someone from the TV." I said, "Oh, sorry, I'm not, but I will be one day." And he was like, "Yeah." He said, I know that woman.
You see?
Even though I wasn't who he thought I was, it still made a difference to his day. Like it's so random.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a sign from my angels that I will be on TV one day.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. As you know, saying hello goes a long way. You know, I'll be, from Monday up to now, I'll be going on the bus. I normally don't. And when I go there, I do say hello to people, and it breaks the ice because people are tense. They are standing there looking somewhere. And there are babies. I say hello. I talk to the parents, and they come up the bus and say, "Oh, thank you, nice meeting you," that sort of thing. You have to break the ice. Yeah, put yourself there. Yeah, say hello, hello, hello. I do that a lot, and people do smile when they see me. I say, "Oh, yeah, I must have a smiling face then."
Let's
Eva, just like you, and my voice is for, you have to do something. Put yourself in their position. You love somebody to say, oh, hello, how are you? That sort of thing. Yeah, I do all that. So
and it's like a domino effect,
yeah.
whether you realize it or not. Like,
Yeah,
saying
and
hello.
you feel good yourself. You feel good
Yeah.
yourself. That I think you release some endorphins or whatever.
Yeah.
When you do that. So it helps both people, both parties. So
Mm.
come on, do the best. Do your best.
And I feel like you might think that like saying something like hello, like something so small,
Yeah.
it's like insignificant or it's not going to do anything. But actually, if you say hello with like a positive attitude or positive intention, then you might inspire the person you're saying it to give it back to someone else, and that you might create a chain of hellos between strangers, and that's just really beautiful, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
One day I was really stiff with my fibro, and I was getting out of the car, and you know when you're like making noises to like get out of your seat and stuff like that, and just some random passerby was like, I'm at that age now where I have to make a noise before I have to do anything.
Oh dear. I tell you, yesterday by this time I was on the bus to 81. My friend came and she wanted to go to Southall and all that. And we were on the bus 81, which will normally come at every 10 minutes. And it took us hours before this bus came. We didn't know what was happening. But when we got on, we were going somewhere and the bus stopped. They said M4, M25, there are extinction something, those staging, whatever they do about oil. So every car on M25 were on the road. So it was, we were stuck for hours on the bus. Can you imagine? People were tense, people were shouting, they were saying all sorts of things to the driver. And there were babies on, children, they were hot and all that. It was a terrible whatever. But what can you do? Yeah, I just, kept talking about other things and, calming the situation and all that. So we were standstill for more than 2 hours before the bus moved because of the traffic from M25 on the roads and all that. It was terrible, but what can you do? You have to do something to cheer people up.
Yeah.
So just talking to people and calming the situation and all that. So yeah, I felt good. Then they were happy as well. They calmed down. We move on.
That just shows how important something like that is.
And then this baby's screaming and crying and all that. But what can we do?
Yeah.
You got to bear it and make the best you can do. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, Grace. Would anyone else like to voice their opinion on this question? And just to repeat, this question is, I have positive effects on people and others.
I think I said slightly agree, and I totally agree with all of you, but again, you can be very positive yourself, but it just depends on how other people perceive it, because sometimes people can be like, how you always so happy? How you always so optimistic? How you always, like, are you talking like you're out of reality? Look at what's happening. So that's why I think slightly agree, because as much as I'm positive, also I cannot influence. But again, okay, maybe the question is, and on others, I think if it was just on me, I have a positive effect on people. Yes, strongly agree. On others, it's debatable. I mean, you share a smile, but it just depends on how other people perceive it. So there's a slight degree of, it's not all of it is taken the way it's supposed to be, to be. Yeah.
But there are people who make you feel angry, isn't it, Eva?
James.
Yes. Yes. And you have to hide the boxing gloves.
They irritate you. They irritate you.
Yes.
Yeah. Some people irritate you. They'll be talking non-stop. Oh, I can't cope with that. You know. Yeah, there are some people who irritate you, James. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah. Okay.
Lorraine, would you like to add anything to that?
I'm here and I'm laughing my head off because, you know, it's so true. And it depends on the person you are, you know, working with. Because, I mean, I've got this lady and I think sometimes I drive her mad, but I just want the best for her. You know, she doesn't say that, but I do believe I have positive effect on people. And I would like to know that, because when I'm dealing with such individuals, I mean, I have to know that they're going to be all right. I have to know that they're not going to go backwards. So, so I think sometimes I'm a little bit too hard on them, but they come through, they pull through, you know, because I mean, I can reflect on my friend in South Africa. I thought one time, I thought she would have been dead by now, but I said, hey, I'm not coming there with you. You're going to go on your own. And we stuck together, and she's pulled through. She's pulled through in spite of the fact that she went from stage 1 cancer to stage 2 and all the ills that, you know. But yeah, when one can stay so many thousands of miles and say to an individual or individuals, I had a few, I said, you're not going to commit suicide, because that's the Judas route, basically. And life, yes, there's a lot of ups and downs, but there's a lot of good in life. And I'm thankful to God that I stuck with these people and they pull through. So yeah, I would like to know that I have positive effect on people's lives, and that, you know, at the end of the day, they can stand their grounds and be thankful that they did not follow through with their intention. But it's just meeting the right person in the chat room who really wants to spend time to talk the person out of the episode that they're going through. Oh, the past 2 years has been like a roller coaster, but it worked. It worked. And I'm thankful that it worked for the people that I spoke to on the platforms, the different platforms. So yeah, it's good. It's been good. So I hope the good Lord will allow me to have positive effect on people. Even though, as I said, I've been a bit hard at times, but I just want the people to live and just recognize that life may be tough. If we didn't have challenges, where would be the growth? We didn't have any growth. But yeah, it's
Thanks
good.
for that. Thank you for that, Lorraine.
Yeah, well,
that's all we can ask for, is to have the best impact that we can on people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
I think if we move on to question number 4. Oh, Eva, yeah.
I'm just going to come in and say I'm loving the discussion, and it's been really good. I think these are really positive questions, and really life, you know, questions that we need to discuss. I'm conscious of time, and I'm conscious that we have 2 other good questions which don't need to be rushed off. I think they're really good questions. And James, thank you for bringing us this question. So I just wanted to bring in James at this time, and maybe we can push the other 2 questions for our next session, because I do believe we've done the 3 questions and we've done it justice. I want us to give the other 2 questions justice maybe in our next session.
Right.
And Ravina is going to take us through the next session of the 2 questions, because I believe I like this discussion. It's been really good. So I'm going to bring in James for the few minutes that we have. And James, did you agree with me?
Yes, totally agree. To do justice to the remaining 2 questions, it will be good to have it in full like today. I think these are life experiences, and the questions really have generated a lot of conversation. And honestly, people are very open. I think when we started, Lorraine said, I met my locker broken or something, and she said maybe these people have problems and everything. That was her trying to look at it positively rather than catastrophize the whole thing, you know. So that's also a very good way of looking at life. You know, sometimes things might happen to us that it depends on how you want to translate it, because you can worry for the whole day, nothing will change until your problem solved. That will bring me to the last tips I would like to give. And I think what I have been able to notice is from all of us, young, old, or medium, it's really about what we think of all the time. There's a lot of work which has been done, and one of the issues that I have actually been able to look at is that we always try to fill in the gap. We human beings don't leave any gap. If we meet somebody and we walk past them and the behavior is such, we turn around and we make our own judgment. You know, I think Aisha also mentioned that when she was coming off the car or going into the car, and she made that grunting sound, and somebody probably look out and say, wow. So we are constantly filling the gap with our own biases.
Yeah.
And biases can be positive, can be negative, but they also built on top of our own values, beliefs that we, you know, when we growing up, you know, we absorb this thing, we learn from our first caregivers, parents. So we develop all of these things. So we fill in the gap with our own biases. We also make assumptions as well as to what is happening, because we want to be sure what is going on. You know, somebody have a bottle of water. Some people might say that must be a drink, that must be a hot drink. Some people might say that's water. You know, so we make different assumptions about things, and it's only good for us. So it's really important about how do we then maybe look at our own biases and fix it up, because that's why perhaps Grace was saying most people perhaps they follow me, you know, most ladies, maybe your biases are more positive. You look at what is happening in their lives, and you're not judgmental, and you don't just conclude anything because of their behavior. So you don't see somebody limping and say, oh, they must have got some problem with drinking, that's why they fell, and all of these things happening. So some of us may have some of those biases as well. And we also look at our own beliefs as well. Beliefs can also help us to deal with others and ourselves. And we also look at thoughts, what our thinking at that particular point in time. If you wake up a bit really agitated, you didn't have a good night's sleep, believe me, most conversations are going to be agitating you. You know, you might find everybody irritating, you know, so because you haven't slept well. It might not be the person, it might just be you. You didn't have a good night's sleep, so you're tormented. So that's one thing also. And sometimes that can also predispose you to being a bit angry so quickly. So you might find somebody's behavior really agitating you for no good reason. But if you check, you might say, oh, when I woke up this morning, I received a very bad news from my boss. I was going to work really quite agitated. So when the bus driver was talking to me or came late, I was so furious. I said, what is this about? Because already you've already been tipped over by the information you received. And they also talk about ideas that we have. You know, how many times have you got good ideas and you really want to share with somebody, but they are not really opened up, and you find yourself struggling. But I have this idea, even in the family, you want to give advice or suggestion, but nobody seems to listen to your own opinion. You know, and some of these things can debar us. They can also stop us from influencing the other people. But it's really about how you manage to have an effect, because this is really butters in the last question we have. How much effect do you have on others? You know, it's not just about doing stuff, it's also about saying stuff. Sometimes you don't say anything, you can see how good effect on people. Because people might find you to be a good listener rather than somebody who interrupts them when they are talking. So we go away with some of these thoughts, but those two questions for next time when we meet, it will be quite energizing. I can't wait to to see them coming up. So on this note, have a lovely, lovely week and weekend, and I said we're going to cope again with the heat, but I think the worst has gone now. So thank you all for coming. Bye bye.
Thank you, James. It was wonderful. as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And tea and coffee will hopefully be on next Tuesday. We had to cancel it this week. It was too hot. But
Oh,
we
yes,
in
yes.
the weather. So yes,
Yes.
but we'll send out the message. Thank you for a great discussion and have a good weekend, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
you too.
Okay, bye everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.